take a look at their website. That link is down in the description. This IS is finished off in incognito with an MSRP just over $51,000. Now this is powered by the 3.5 liter naturally aspirated V6. It's paired to the 8-speed automatic. It pumps out 311 horsepower, 280 pound-feet of torque. That power is sent to the rear wheels, propelling this 3,800-pound sedan from 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds. It has a top speed of 143 miles an hour. It also has a fuel capacity of 17.2 gallons. You'll expect to see 20 miles per gallon in the city, 28 out on the highway. This also has a wheelbase of 110.2 inches. Its overall length is 185.4. It has a width of 72.4, a height of 56.5, and its ground clearance measures in at 5.5 inches. Now, as we take a look at the exterior styling, you'll notice one difference for the 25-year model, and that is on the side, which we will get to here. But up front, everything is the same as previous models. The Lexus badge is the forward sensor. There's a camera just above that. Gloss black for the entire grille mesh, along with the surround for that hourglass design. There's a lot of cutouts in the lower section too, along with LEDs for the DRLs and the headlights and high beams, which have a thin housing to them, looking very nice. And then the distinctive lines that come down the hood, along with the two that go off the points of the hourglass grille there. Now, as we work our way to the side, this model has a really nice set of wheels with that dark chrome and the multi-spoke design to them. There's the F Sport badge just behind that, more gloss black for the entire lower section of the side skirt there. This also now gets power folding side mirrors. There's a camera and a turn signal on this model here with the gloss black mirror caps, sunroof up top, and then dark chrome is now the trim accent for the entire window trim there. And then there's still the cool lines in the lower section there, and then the ones that go through the height of the door handles. Now in back, there's gloss black for the spoiler, backup camera with all of the lighting that runs through the trunk there with that LED bar. There's a backup camera, all of the sensors, and then the entire bumper is finished off in gloss black. There's also some fins in the middle and the dual exhaust. Now, as we work our way to the cargo space, you can use the button on the key fob or the one up underneath, where you have a pretty good amount of space. You'll notice that there's a cutout on both sides, so you can put in some longer items sideways. There's also the spare tire underneath the floor. You could use that for a little bit of extra storage, and you can also fold down the back seats to make it that much more practical for this sedan. And then there's one grab handle on the right side that you can easily close the trunk lid. It is lightweight. Now, as we work our way to the interior, this specific model has the red leather interior, which is very nice. Door panel is pretty simple. There's a speaker down below, no storage or anything, and then the trim accent surrounding the window control. But as we work our way into the back, at 5'10", it's pretty spacious. There's a storage pocket behind both front seats, air vents in the middle. There is a bulge right in the middle, so your middle passenger would have a foot on both sides. And at my height, I have about less than half an inch of head space, so I can sit up and be comfortable. It is a smaller size sedan, but it is doable to have passengers in the back. There's also the armrest. If you push on the end of it, this is how you can pop out the cup holders there. And then here's a look at visibility. Pretty thin pillar there, so you can easily see around with the glass on both sides. And then working our way up front, here's where there's a lot of changes for the 25-year model. This now gets memory seating adjustments, power folding side mirrors with all of those controls. There's the window adjustments. You do get storage for the front passenger there. And then this also gets a power telescoping steering wheel too, which is new. Power seats up front, which is not new. These ones have a great look to them. F Sport is also down on the door sill, which is an illuminating badge. This has a solid and perforated leather steering wheel. But let's start this up, take a listen to how this sounds. And coming back to the gauge cluster now, you'll notice on the left side there's engine temperature, right side there's fuel, and then right in the middle, miles per hour, the tach, what gear you're in, and there's a little bit more info that you can go through with the controls on the right side. There's also distance pacing, lane keeping assist, and then you have this pages button too to move the entire tach. But with it in the middle, you can still scroll through some of this information just depending on what you would like to see, and then you can get into a lot more information by pushing that over to the right. So you do have some of the same information, but you do have some added info just depending on what you'd like to see. Compass, you can get into your music, distance pacing, and then there's a lot of standard safety features that you can turn on and off and go through all that information depending on how you want to set this up. This also has paddle shifters on both sides. On the left, Bluetooth and voice commands, volume and tuning, and then the cruise control stalk is on the lower left there. Now on this left side, you'll notice there's a trunk release, hood release, dimmer switches for the gauges, as well as the odometer reset, automatic headlights, and if I push on the view button, this is for the camera system. So you can pull that up just if you want to get another view around the vehicle before you take off, you can do that. And then just push on that to shut it off. There's one air vent, some leather and stitching for the gauge cluster cover there. And then working our way back to this infotainment system, you can use this as a touch screen, but you do have the controls down below. So there's still the trackpad there, map, menu, and a back button. So under menu, you can get into projection, you can pair your phone to this system, there's setup, even climate adjustments, so you can get through the temperatures and all this information. You can also pull this up in a split screen view. So you can view information on the left side as well as pulling info up on the right side there too. So just depending on what you'd like to see, you have a few different options. Very easy to go through that system. There's a clock underneath that with an air vent on both sides, and then you do get physical buttons for the climates, fan speeds right in the middle. You have some defrosters and all of that information there. Still rocking a CD player underneath that with power, volume, and tuning, all of the adjustments for that. And this is equipped with heated, ventilated seats and the heated steering wheel, which is nice. There's a few different driving modes for this. So when you rotate the dial, you'll mainly see that on the gauge cluster, so it will just change colors. And you'll notice it pop up on the right side there, just depending on what mode you're in. There's a snow mode, traction control, auto hold. Putting it into reverse, there's the backup camera, top-down view, and you have two different angles there and the adjustable guidelines that you can view as needed. You have drive, the ability to shift here or use the paddles. There's two cup holders and then some auxiliaries in the armrest. You have a lot more storage in the glove box. And then up top, garage door buttons, touch sensitive dome lights. The sunshade is manual adjusting, and then you have the controls for the sunroof itself. And here's a look at visibility. It's very easy to see over both shoulders, so you have quite a lot of glass for this smaller sedan. As we set up behind the wheel now for the 2025 IS 350, mainly we have a few tech features for this latest model year, which I think a lot of people have been anticipating and wanting in their own vehicles and just in general for this luxury vehicle. Now, something else that I want to touch base on, which I've never talked about in the IS 350, there's a switch over on this left side that's labeled ASC. That is the active sound control. You can actually turn on the fake exhaust noise. It'll be amplified in the speakers if you turn it on, so you can hear it a little bit, which I've been playing with before I started filming here, just to hear it. And it definitely makes it sound cool on the inside. So as you could hear with that slight acceleration, I'll go ahead and turn it off as we come around this turn here. It doesn't sound all that loud from the outside. And then, not sure if you could hear that, but I switched it halfway on. It actually makes it sound pretty good, but it is fake, but you do have the adjustment to turn that on and off. But with the Lexus IS 350 F Sport, this is a very popular sedan from Lexus. I think it's even more popular than the IS 500. I think maybe the price point is something that a lot of people like. Maybe people don't want the extra power from the V8. I personally would go with the V8. It sounds very good. With this V6 here though, you have a very sporty sedan. Now, what I've been able to see with a lot of comments and after driving a lot of these models, these really shine in the higher RPM range. So while we have that naturally aspirated V6, once you really start to get into the higher RPM, maybe 5,000 plus in the RPM, is where these cars tend to shine. You get some more responsiveness out of the paddle shifters, and you get a really nice sporty vehicle. It's not crazy performance oriented, but it's a nice blend. We have the F Sport tuned suspension for this model too. So you get a lot of the handling characteristics. You get a pretty quick car for this model here. And especially when other models in its, other competitors, I should say, are going to turbo engines and things like that. If you want that NA engine, Lexus is still giving that to you. And you just have a very fun, luxury-focused sedan to drive. This one is a little bit more basic with its MSRP. You can spec the 350s a little bit higher in general, but we have a really nice ride. It's super comfortable and quiet. The paddles are very responsive too. And then of course we have the different driving modes here. Basically just modulate your throttle response. So depending on the driving that you plan on doing, you have a few options there And as we come into a right, this car is so planted. I'm just going at normal speeds, but it's super solid in its handling with that suspension, and it'll still provide you with a daily driver. This suspension is comfortable enough to drive every day, yet stiff enough to be able to handle back roads in whatever kind of performance driving you want to do. And we are in sport mode, second gear. Here we go. And that is with the active sound control on, so just so you can at least hear a little bit of the exhaust for the 350. But this is what it's like to be behind the wheel for this 25-year model. Definitely a nice interior. Nothing has really changed as far as the infotainment system, the controls. We still have a CD player, which a lot of you tend to comment, why is there still a CD player in the Lexus models? Apparently people still like that. Maybe Lexus has asked all their customers and the CD player is still there, but everything is pretty much the same as a 24-year model. Just we have a few of those added luxury features that a lot of people wanted to see. Smooth driving vehicle, very nice. It would make for a perfect daily driver. I think just the balance with the power that this has and the sizing of it is a great vehicle that a lot of people like. It's a little bit tight in the back seats, but you can make it work. If you're not putting people back there often, it's something that is still accommodative for adults and people to be in the back. But it's a smooth driving vehicle, very quiet too. We have a lot of visibility between the pillar and the side mirrors too, so you can easily see on both sides. And just a nice vehicle. For the money, you are getting something that is going to be very reliable, something very easy to maintain, keep on the road, and you still have those sporty characteristics, with this being the F Sport model, to have a little bit of fun. And with its smaller size too, that means it's a lot more maneuverable in parking lots and slower speeds. So as we do a 3-point turn, hopefully they don't have to back up, but we have a pretty tight turning radius. That is impressive. So very easy to maneuver. And with one last acceleration, that is going to wrap it up for the 2025 Lexus IS 350 F Sport. Once again, a huge shout out to Hendrick Lexus Northlake for providing this